Still broke, Emily? Pathetic. Look at you. Nothing's changed. Rally-goers turned, some grinning, others uncomfortable, as Jason's mocking voice carried over the rumble of engines. He was loud, cruel, and certain she was still the broken woman he destroyed years ago. But Emily didn't flinch. Not anymore. She stood quietly, watching him with something he couldn't recognize, calm. She carried a secret he would never imagine. Her new husband wasn't just anyone. He was the billionaire president of the most feared MC in 3 states. Seconds later, the rally went silent. Motorcycles cut off one by one. Men in leather vests bearing the club's patch formed a perimeter, their presence swallowing sound. The same people who had watched Jason humiliate her now stared past him, eyes wide. This is the story of cruelty, arrogance, and the moment a man realized he had kicked the wrong woman at the wrong rally. What do you think happened when he discovered who she belonged to? Before we dive into what happened next, and trust me, Jason's about to learn a lesson he'll never forget, hit that subscribe button right now. Because if you're the kind of person who believes bullies should face consequences, this channel is your home. Welcome back, family. We've been waiting for you. And in the comments, tell me, have you ever watched someone underestimate the wrong person? Drop your story below. Let's build this community together. Emily arrived at the rally alone just before noon, when the sun made everything sharp-edged and exposed. She parked her modest sedan 3 rows back from the main grounds and sat for a moment, hands steady on the wheel. No one here expected to see her. No one knew she'd come home. And if they had known, they would have expected the same shattered girl who fled this town 2 years ago with bruises hidden under long sleeves and shame she wore like a second skin. Let them think that. It made breathing easier. The fewer people who knew the truth, the longer her peace lasted. She stepped out into the smell of gasoline, leather, and open sky. Motorcycles lined the grounds in perfect rows, chrome gleaming, engines warm from the ride in. Music thumped from speakers near the main stage. Vendors sold everything from custom parts to hand-stitched vests with club patches Emily didn't recognize. She pulled her denim jacket tighter, not from cold but from instinct. Blend in, move through, don't be seen. She'd gotten good at it. Her phone buzzed once in her pocket. She glanced down. You good? She smiled before she could stop herself and typed back quickly. Yes, just walking around. I'll call later. Take your time. I'm here if you need me. One small heart emoji, nothing loud. That was Daniel, soft where the world expected thunder, steady where others performed. No one at this rally knew she was married. No one knew her life had transformed. And for now, she wanted it that way. She wasn't ready for questions, for judgment, for the inevitable accusations that she'd moved on too fast or found herself a rescue. This wasn't rescue, this was choice. She wove through clusters of bikers and their families, women in leather, men comparing custom paint jobs, kids running between rows of motorcycles with sticky hands and wild laughter. The atmosphere was loud, rough-edged, alive. Emily kept her head down, her pace even. She wasn't looking for trouble. She just wanted to feel something she used to love before Jason had ruined it. The roar of engines, the smell of exhaust, the freedom that came with open roads and chosen family. Then she heard it. Her body recognized it before her mind did. Her shoulders locked, her breath caught. That laugh. She turned slowly, scanning the crowd, praying she was wrong. She wasn't, man, you should have seen her back then, crying over everything, dramatic as hell. There he was, 30 feet away, leaning against a custom Harley that wasn't his, surrounded by 3 guys Emily didn't recognize. He was louder than he needed to be, gesturing wildly, playing to an audience. Still performing, still cruel. Emily's stomach dropped, but she didn't move. She'd learned that running made things worse. Panic made him chase. So she stood still, half hidden behind a row of parked bikes, and watched. Jason hadn't seen her yet. He was too busy talking about himself, about his bike, his connections, his opinions on everyone and everything. He hasn't changed, not even a little. She started to turn away, to slip back toward the parking lot before he noticed. Too late. Emily? She froze. Holy shit. Emily? The guys around him turned. A few people nearby looked over, curious. Emily felt the weight of attention settle on her like a spotlight she couldn't escape. Jason pushed off the bike and started walking toward her, grinning like he'd just found something he'd lost and didn't want back. No way, what are you doing here? Emily straightened her spine and met his eyes. Her voice came out calm, flat. Just visiting. Jason laughed, sharp, mocking. Visiting? A biker rally? You? He looked her up and down, slow and deliberate, designed to make her feel small. Didn't think you could afford the gas to get here. Emily said nothing. She'd learned years ago that silence was armor Jason couldn't break. But Jason didn't like silence. He fed on reaction. What, nothing to say? Still playing the victim? He stepped closer, invading her space. You know, I heard you left town. Thought maybe you finally figured out you were the problem. People were watching now. Some pretended not to, but Emily could feel their eyes. Judgment, pity, curiosity, it all felt the same. She took a small step back, not out of fear, out of control. I'm not doing this. Jason, doing what? I'm just saying hi. His grin widened. Unless you're still too sensitive for that. Then he did it. He reached out and shoved her shoulder, not hard enough to knock her down, but enough to make her stumble backward into someone's bike. Gasps rippled through the nearby crowd. Emily caught herself, gripping the bike's handlebar, her heart pounding. Jason laughed. Oops, still clumsy, huh? She looked at him, really looked, and saw what she'd always known. Jason enjoyed this. He lived for it. The control, the cruelty, the audience. And then he did something worse. He kicked her. Not a tap, a deliberate, vicious kick to her side that sent her sprawling onto the gravel. Emily hit the ground hard, clutching her ribs, the taste of dust in her mouth. Jason stood over her, hands on his hips, grinning down like he'd just won something. Still nothing, huh? But Emily wasn't looking at him anymore. She was looking past him, at the sudden, spreading silence. Jason frowned, sensing the shift but not understanding it yet. He turned and saw every single engine in the rally die. Men in leather vests, 20, 30, maybe more, had stopped what they were doing and were now standing perfectly still, eyes locked on him. At the center of them all, walking forward with terrifying calm, was a man in a tailored vest with a single patch across his chest. President. If you're feeling what I'm feeling right now, that mix of dread and anticipation, smash that like button, because Jason has no idea what's about to happen to him, and neither do you. Keep watching. Jason didn't notice. Not yet. He was too busy savoring the moment, standing over Emily like a conqueror over conquered ground. His grin stretched wider as he looked down at her, crumpled on the gravel. You okay down there, Em? You always were a little fragile. Emily pushed herself up slowly, favoring her right side where his boot had connected. She didn't look at him. She looked past him, at the men still forming that impossible circle of silence. But Jason mistook her silence for defeat. He always did. I mean, look at you. Same cheap jacket, same scared little mouse act. He gestured broadly, making sure everyone could hear. 2 years, and you're still broke. Still nothing. A woman in the crowd shifted uncomfortably. A man looked away. But no one spoke. Not yet. Move, Jason. Move? Or what? He laughed, stepping directly into her path as she tried to walk away. You gonna call someone? You gonna cry? What's the plan here, Emily? Emily stopped. She could feel the gravel under her boots, the ache in her ribs, the weight of eyes on her back. She could walk around him. She could try, but Jason wasn't done. That's what I thought. He leaned in close, voice dropping to something meant only for her, but loud enough for others to catch. You were always good at one thing, running away from reality. He pushed her. Not hard, just enough to make her catch her balance, to make her look weak. Oops, he said, hands up in mock innocence. Accident. Emily's jaw tightened. She tried to step around him again. Jason blocked her. This was the game. This was always the game. Push until she reacted. Push until she looked hysterical. Push until everyone believed she was the problem. But Emily had learned. She stayed silent. She stayed controlled. And that made Jason angrier. What, you're just gonna ignore me after everything? He shoved her again, harder this time. You don't get to walk away like I'm nothing. You don't get to... He kicked her, full force. Right below the ribs, Emily went down hard, hitting the gravel with a sharp cry she couldn't suppress. Her hands scraped the ground as she curled inward, instinct overriding dignity. Jesus, did he just... That's... Stay down, Emily. That's where you belong. Jason stood over her, chest heaving, grinning like he'd finally won the argument that had been living in his head for 2 years. He looked around at the crowd, daring someone to say something. No one moved. No one spoke. Emily stayed on the ground, one arm wrapped around her ribs, the other braced against the gravel. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just breathed. Yeah, that's what I thought. Jason turned, ready to walk away, convinced he'd proven his point, convinced no one would stop him, convinced he was untouchable. And that's when the man in the president patch reached him. The laughter died in Jason's throat, not because someone told him to stop, not because anyone shouted or threatened, because the world around him had gone silent. It happened slowly at first, one motorcycle engine cutting off, then another, then 3 more in quick succession, like dominoes falling in reverse, sound collapsing into absence. The music from the main stage stopped mid-song. Conversations dropped off. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Emily looked up from the gravel, not at Jason, but past him. Her vision was blurred from pain, but she could see them men in leather vests moving with silent purpose, closing in from every direction. Not running, not shouting, just repositioning. Taking space, claiming ground. Jason didn't notice yet. He was too busy wiping his hands on his jeans, still grinning, still high on his own cruelty. Anyone else want to defend her? He called out to no one in particular. Because I've got plenty more where that came. He stopped mid-sentence. The silence was wrong. Too complete. Too deliberate. Jason's grin faltered. He glanced around, confused, searching for the audience that had been laughing with him seconds ago. They weren't looking at him anymore. They were looking past him. Men in cuts, the leather vests that marked club members had formed a loose circle around them. Not aggressive, not crowding, just present. 20, maybe 30 of them spread across the rally grounds like sentinels. No one spoke. No one moved. They simply stood. Hands relaxed at their sides, expressions unreadable. What is this? Emily could feel it too, the shift in atmosphere, the way the air seemed to press down heavier. She pushed herself up slowly, one hand still clutching her ribs, and for the first time since hitting the ground, she felt something other than pain. She felt safe. Hey, I said, what is... Jason's words died. The crowd parted without being asked, creating a path that hadn't existed seconds before. He appeared from the center of the rally grounds, moving with the kind of calm that didn't need announcement. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a white button-down and a perfectly tailored leather vest that fit like it had been made specifically for him, which it had been. His vest was pristine, no patches, except for 3. One on his chest, one on his back, though Jason couldn't see it yet, and one on his left side. The chest patch read in bold letters, President. Jason turned fully now, following the stairs, following the silence, following the instinct that something had gone catastrophically wrong. He saw the man approaching. He saw the patch. He saw the way every single person at that rally, bikers, civilians, vendors, children, had stopped what they were doing to watch. Who the hell are you supposed to... The man stopped 10 feet away. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You kicked her. It wasn't an accusation. It was an observation. Cold, factual, final. I don't know who you think you are, but this is between me and... You kicked my wife. Jason's face went white. Emily, still on her knees, looked up at Daniel and her husband and felt tears she'd been holding back, threatened to spill. Not from pain, from relief. Now, Daniel said quietly, his eyes never leaving Jason's face, you're going to answer a very simple question. Did you think no one would stop you? Share this with someone who needs to see what happens when a coward finally meets consequences. Because what's coming next? Jason's about to wish he'd stayed home. Hit that share button now. Daniel didn't wait for Jason's answer. He wasn't asking Jason. He turned, slowly, deliberately, and looked down at Emily. His expression softened in a way that made the surrounding silence feel even heavier, like watching stone crack to reveal something gentler underneath. Did he touch you? Emily met his eyes. She could see the controlled fury there, the restraint it was costing him to stay calm. She nodded once. Just once. That was all Daniel needed. Okay, look. Jason's voice cracked slightly. He held up his hands, trying for casual. I don't know what she told you, but this is just a misunderstanding. We have history, and she's always been history. Daniel repeated the word like he was tasting something bitter. He helped Emily to her feet with a gentleness that contrasted violently with the tension radiating from every line of his body. I'm okay. You're not. Hey, I'm talking to you. You can't just... Daniel straightened, turned, and for the first time since arriving, looked directly at Jason. It was like standing in front of an oncoming storm. Daniel didn't glare, didn't snarl, didn't perform aggression the way Jason did. He simply looked at him with the kind of focus that made Jason realize, too late, that he'd made a catastrophic error in judgment. Jason's eyes darted to the vest, to the president patch, to the faces of the men surrounding them. Then back to Daniel's face. And something clicked. Wait, you're Daniel Hale. The name hung in the air like an indictment. Daniel Hale, president of the Iron Wolves MC, the club that owned half the state's territory. The man who'd turned a regional motorcycle club into a multi-million-dollar legitimate empire without losing an ounce of respect or fear from anyone who knew the name. Billionaire, businessman, and apparently Emily's husband. I didn't know she was. Jason took a step back. Look, man, if I'd known she was with you, I never would have. You never would have what? Mocked her? Shoved her? Kicked her to the ground in front of 100 witnesses? It wasn't like that. You thought she was alone. You thought she was powerless. You thought no one would stop you. Jason opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. Because Daniel was right. Jason had thought exactly that. He'd counted on it. The same way he'd counted on it 2 years ago and the year before that, and every single time he'd needed Emily to be small so he could feel big. You chose the wrong woman. Daniel glanced around the rally at the cameras on phones, at the witnesses standing frozen, at the brothers in cuts forming an unbreakable perimeter, and you chose the wrong place. Jason looked around wildly, searching for an exit, an ally, anything. He found none. The men in cuts didn't move, didn't speak. They simply stood, a wall of silent judgment, waiting for their president's word. I'm sorry. I'll leave. You'll leave when I decide you can leave. Jason's legs visibly shook. The man who'd been laughing 30 seconds ago now looked like he might collapse. Marcus, make sure our guest doesn't go anywhere. Jason didn't resist. He couldn't. Daniel didn't shout orders. He didn't need to. He leaned slightly toward Marcus, his vice president, a man built like a brick wall with a scar running through his left eyebrow, and spoke in a tone barely above conversation. Get statements from everyone who saw what happened. Video 2. I want everything documented before anyone leaves. Marcus nodded once. Already on it, President. And call Sterling. Tell him we'll need his services. Sterling, the club's lawyer. The kind of attorney who made district attorneys nervous and judges cautious. Wait, you can't just... Jason tried to bolt. He made it 3 steps before the wall of leather-clad men shifted. Not aggressively, but decisively. The crowd that had parted for Daniel now closed for Jason, creating an impassable barrier of human solidarity. Jason spun, looking for gaps that didn't exist. 2 club members, not Marcus, not the ones flanking him, but 2 others who'd moved with practiced efficiency simply stood in his path. Arms crossed, silent, immovable. Get out of my way! You can't keep me here! I haven't done anything wrong! But his voice cracked on the last word, betraying what everyone already knew. You assaulted someone, in public, in front of witnesses. You're not going anywhere until the authorities arrive. Daniel had already turned away. Jason's panic, his protests, his existence, none of it mattered to him now. Emily mattered. He crossed the space between them and knelt on the gravel beside her. She was standing now, but barely one arm still wrapped around her ribs, breathing shallow. Let me see. I'm fine, really. Emily. She lowered her arm slightly. Even through her jacket, Daniel could see the way she was favoring her right side, the tightness in her posture. Without a word, he shrugged off his leather vest, the one with the president patch, the one that commanded respect across 3 states, and draped it carefully over her shoulders. Daniel, you don't have to. Yes, I do. As if on cue, 4 club members moved in, forming a loose circle around them. Not intrusive, not crowding. Just present a physical barrier between Emily and the stairs, between her pain and the spectacle Jason had tried to create. Can you walk? I think so. He slid an arm around her waist, taking most of her weight without making it obvious. To anyone watching, it looked like a husband comforting his wife, which it was. But it was also a message. She's protected. She's claimed. Touch her again and answer to all of us. From where Jason stood trapped between Marcus and 2 stone-faced members, he watched the scene unfold with growing horror. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Emily was supposed to crumble. He was supposed to walk away victorious, validated, proven right. Instead, she was being escorted through the rally like royalty, wrapped in the vest of the most powerful man in the state, surrounded by a brotherhood that would burn the world down for her. And Jason was nothing. This isn't over. People turned. Cameras lifted. You think you know her? You don't know anything. I'll expose her. I'll tell everyone what she really is. You'll see. You'll all see. Daniel didn't stop walking, didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge the screaming man behind him at all. Let him talk. Daniel, let him scream. Let him threaten. Every word he says is being recorded. He's burying himself. If you're feeling that satisfaction right now watching someone who hurt others finally face the music, turn on all notifications, because this story gets even better. And Jason, he's about to learn what real consequences look like. Ring that bell. Jason didn't stop at screaming threats. Within 24 hours of being escorted from the rally by local police, he'd made 17 phone calls. By day 2, his version of events had spread across 3 gossip blogs, 2 Facebook groups, and a local news tip line. She's a gold digger who trapped a billionaire. She manipulated her way into his life. I tried to help her, and she accused me of abuse to cover her tracks. He painted himself as the concerned ex-boyfriend, the one who saw through her act, the victim of her instability, her lies, her desperate need for money and status. He contacted anyone who would listen, bloggers hungry for drama, rival clubs looking for leverage, even a police detective he'd known in high school. Emily's phone buzzed constantly. Messages from people she hadn't spoken to in years. Questions, accusations, fake concern masking real judgment. She stared at the screen, watching her name get dragged through digital mud. Don't read them. They think I'm lying. They don't matter. He's doing it again. He's making people think He's scared. Scared people make noise. Let him. And Daniel did exactly that. He stayed silent. No press releases. No public statements. No social media posts defending Emily or attacking Jason. To the outside world, it looked like he didn't care. Or worse, like Jason might be telling the truth. But silence wasn't inaction. Marcus sat across from 2 other members, Ghost, the club's tech specialist, and Reaper, former military intelligence. The table between them was covered in printouts, file folders, and a laptop displaying police reports. Found his record, 2 prior assault complaints, both dropped before they went to trial. Dropped how? Victims recanted. Both times, one woman moved out of state a week after dropping charges. And there's this. Fraud investigation from 2019. He was involved in a real estate scam targeting single mothers. Promised them rent-to-own deals, collected deposits, then disappeared. How many victims? 7 confirmed. Probably more who didn't report. Oh, and get this, he tried to blackmail an ex-girlfriend in 2021, threatened to release private photos unless she paid him $5,000. Did she pay? No, she went to the police. Case was dismissed on a technicality, but the complaint's still on file. 3 men, 3 hours of research, a portrait of cruelty that had been hiding in plain sight for years. Compile everything, send it to Sterling, and make sure we've got copies of everything from the rally, every video, every witness statement, every piece of evidence. Already done. Good, because this piece of garbage isn't walking away. This time. Emily sat by the window, Daniel's vest still draped over the back of a chair nearby. She hadn't worn it since the rally, but she couldn't put it away either. You should eat something. I'm not hungry. He's winning, Daniel. People believe him. No, he's desperate. And desperate men make mistakes. What if he doesn't? What if he just keeps lying until everyone thinks? Daniel pulled out his phone. Read the message. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. What is it? Jason just made his final mistake. Jason had filed a restraining order against Emily, claiming she was harassing him, claiming she'd sent the MC to threaten him, claiming he was the victim. Now we respond. Jason didn't stop at the restraining order. 2 days later, he posted a video. Edited, selective, carefully crafted to show only what he wanted seen. The footage showed Emily at the rally, showed Daniel approaching, showed club members surrounding Jason. What it didn't show was the kick, the shove, the cruelty that had started everything. This is what happens when you try to protect yourself from a manipulative ex. Her billionaire husband sent his gang to intimidate me, to silence me, because she knows I'll tell the truth about who she really is. Within 6 hours, the video had 15,000 views. By morning, it had been shared across multiple platforms, picked up by drama channels, dissected in comment sections. This is terrifying. Rich people think they can do whatever they want. That poor man, Daniel, they believe him. Not for long. At exactly 2 p.m., the Iron Wolves MC's official social media accounts posted a single link. No commentary, no explanation, just a link to a cloud storage folder. It's live. The folder contained 17 video files, full, uncut footage from multiple angles, phones, security cameras, even a drone someone had been flying over the rally. Every angle showed the same story. Jason mocking Emily, Jason blocking her path, Jason shoving her, Jason kicking her to the ground. Stay down, Emily, that's where you belong. Each video was time-stamped, unedited, raw. And they didn't just show the assault. They showed Jason laughing afterward, showed him trying to flee, showed him screaming threats as he was escorted away by police. The comment sections changed within minutes. Oh my God. He kicked her. The edited video cut out everything. Then the statements started appearing. Written testimonies from people who'd been at the rally, strangers who'd watched the assault happen, bikers from other clubs, families with children who'd witnessed the violence. I saw him kick her. I saw her hit the ground. No one provoked him. He just hurt her because he could. She tried to walk away. Multiple times. He wouldn't let her. Jason's edited video was flagged for misinformation on 3 platforms. His social media comments filled with accusations, anger, demands for accountability. The narrative he'd spent days building shattered in under an hour. Detective Barnes, the one Jason had contacted, hoping for help, sat at her desk watching the full videos for the 3rd time. She'd ignored the initial reports, written them off as motorcycle club drama she didn't want to touch. But this wasn't drama. This was assault. On camera. Undeniable. I need a warrant drafted. Assault and battery. Jason Reed. And check for priors. I want everything. By evening, an arrest warrant had been issued. By midnight, Jason's former victims, the ones from the fraud case, from the assault complaints, from the blackmail attempt, started coming forward. Emboldened, validated, finally believed. Jason sat on his couch, staring at his phone. The notifications wouldn't stop. Messages from people he thought were friends, now distant. Comments calling him out. Articles linking his name to the videos. His hands shook. He called the blogger who'd posted his story first. Voicemail. He called the detective he'd contacted. No answer. He called his cousin, the one who'd laughed with him at the rally. Don't call me again. Jason sat in the dark, phone still in his hand, and understood for the first time what Emily had known for years. What it felt like to be alone. What it felt like when no one believed you. What it felt like when the world turned its back. Jason Reed! Open the door! We have a warrant for your arrest! He was out of moves, out of lies, out of people who would protect him. Drop a comment right now if you think Jason got exactly what he deserved. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, someone who's been hurt by people like Jason, share this video. Let them know they're not alone. Comment below. Emily didn't plan to say anything publicly. But after Jason's arrest, after the videos went viral, after her name had been dragged through every corner of the internet, a local journalist reached out. Not for drama, not for clicks, for truth. I'd like to give you the opportunity to tell your story. On your terms, no editing, no agenda, just you. She almost said no. You don't owe anyone an explanation. I know, but maybe I owe it to myself. The interview was simple. One camera, natural lighting. Just Emily sitting across from a journalist who asked one question and then stayed silent. What do you want people to know? Emily didn't cry, didn't raise her voice, didn't perform pain for anyone's consumption. She simply told the truth. I stayed silent for 2 years because I thought silence would keep me safe. I thought if I disappeared, if I rebuilt my life quietly, that would be enough. I was wrong. Jason didn't hurt me at that rally because I provoked him. He hurt me because he believed he could, because he's done it before, because he thought I was still the woman who wouldn't fight back. Her voice stayed steady. She wasn't asking for pity, she was stating reality. I didn't marry Daniel to escape Jason. I married him because he saw me as a person, not a project, not something to fix or control or own. And when Jason attacked me, Daniel didn't save me. I was already saved. He just made sure the world saw what I'd been carrying alone. Silence protected Jason, not me. So I'm breaking it once, and then I'm moving forward. The interview was posted that evening. Uncut, unedited. 3 minutes and 47 seconds of quiet strength that hit harder than any tearful confession could have. Within hours, the narrative changed completely. She doesn't need to prove anything. This is what courage looks like. I believe her. But something else happened too. Other women started coming forward. Women Jason had hurt. Women who'd stayed silent because they thought no one would believe them. I dated Jason in 2020. He did the same thing to me. Thank you, Emily, for speaking up. He threatened to ruin my reputation if I reported him. Seeing Emily's strength gave me mine back. Emily wasn't just a victim anymore. She wasn't a headline or a cautionary tale or a woman defined by what had been done to her. She was a woman who'd survived, who'd spoken, who'd moved forward, and in doing so, she'd given others permission to do the same. Emily sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the sunset. The interview had been shared thousands of times. Her phone was full of messages, supportive, grateful, kind, but she'd turned it off hours ago. You okay? Yeah, I think I am. They sat together, watching the sky turn purple and gold. Can I ask you something? Always. Why didn't you tell me about Jason? About what he'd done before? You could have warned me before going to the rally. Because I thought I could handle seeing him. I thought I was past it. And because part of me was afraid you'd see me differently. Like I was broken. Like I needed protecting. Emily, you were never broken. And you never needed me to protect you. I just made sure the world caught up to what I already knew. What's that? That you're stronger than anyone who's ever tried to hurt you. Jason was sentenced on a cold Tuesday morning in November. Assault and battery, violation of a protection order, intimidation of a witness. The judge didn't mince words when she read the sentence. 18 months in county jail, followed by 3 years probation. Emily wasn't there to hear it. She didn't need to be. She read the message once, then set her phone down and returned to her morning coffee. It was over. The club gathered at sunrise. Not for business, not for territory, for tradition. 40 motorcycles lined up in formation. Daniel at the front, Marcus beside him, the rest of the Brotherhood stretched out behind like a river of chrome and leather. They rode out together as the sun broke over the horizon, engines roaring, a sound that felt like freedom given voice. She smiled, not because they were intimidating, not because they were powerful, because they were hers. This rally was different, smaller, more intimate, hosted by a club 3 towns over one that Daniel had good relations with. Emily arrived with Daniel, his vest draped over her shoulders, now by choice, not necessity. She walked through the crowd differently this time, chin up, shoulders back, not hiding, not disappearing. People recognized her, some from the videos, some from the interview. A few nodded respectfully, others smiled. One woman approached, hesitant but hopeful. "Thank you for speaking up. It helped me leave someone who was hurting me. I'm glad you're safe. So are you." Emily wasn't a victim anymore. She was a survivor, and that distinction mattered. "You okay?" "Yeah, I really am. I need you to know something." "What?" "I didn't save you. Daniel. You survived long enough to be found. You made the choice to come back, to stand up, to speak. I just made sure you weren't alone when you did. That's enough. That's everything." They stood together as engines roared to life around them. Emily didn't flinch at the noise, didn't shrink from the attention. She stood calm among the chaos, Daniel's hand resting lightly on her back, the Brotherhood surrounding them like a living shield. Not afraid, not hidden, not alone. Jason had made the oldest mistake in the book. He'd mistaken Emily's silence for weakness, her calm for surrender, her survival for defeat. He'd underestimated the strength it takes to rebuild after someone breaks you, the courage it takes to walk back into a place that holds painful memories, the power of a woman who refuses to stay small for anyone's comfort. And he'd failed to understand the most important truth. A woman who survives isn't waiting to be saved. She's waiting for the moment she's no longer alone. And when that moment comes, when she finds her people, when she stands surrounded by those who see her worth, that's when silence transforms into something far more dangerous than any threat. Truth, the most dangerous mistake a man can make is believing silence means weakness. If this story moved you, if Emily's strength reminded you of your own or someone you know, do 3 things right now. 1, subscribe, because we share stories like this every week. 2, hit the like button to make sure more people who need this message find it. 3, share this in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from, or share your own story of survival. Because you are never as alone as you think. And this community, we're proof of that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, silence doesn't mean weakness. It never did.